From time to time, it's a good idea to go back to the basics of photography. And in today's video, I'm going to go back to something very basic, which is the aperture of a lens. So what does it mean when somebody says that they shot a certain photo at f2.8 or f5.6 or f11? So I'm not going to be talking about depth of field or anything like that. I'm just going to be talking about that number. Where does that number come from? How do you compute that number? So let's start with something really basic, and let's grab a lens. This is a 55mm lens with a maximum aperture of f2.8. f-stop, it's a ratio between the focal length, in this case 55mm, and the physical dimension, the physical diameter of technically the entrance pupil, but you can just say that's kind of like, you know, the physical diameter, the physical dimension of this lens opening. So at f2.8, which is wide open, this is a diameter of 19.64 millimeters. If you divide 55 by 19.64, you will get 2.80, and that is exactly the f-stop that we were looking for. Now, of course, that doesn't only apply to your maximum aperture. So also if you stop down the lens, for instance, from 2.8 to f4, again, you would try to figure out the dimension, the diameter of this lens opening, and this turns out to be 13.97 millimeters. So 55 divided by 13.97 millimeters will give you a number of 3.94, which is close enough to f4 to call it f4, I guess. All right, so now that you know how an f-stop is computed, or maybe just, you know, refresh your memory how it's computed, we can also refresh your memory about why stopping down the lens a stop means that you're only letting through half the amount of light. And again, it has to do with the physical dimension of your lens opening. And for this, you have to remember the formula to compute the surface area of a circle, which is pi multiplied by the square of the radius. So at f2.8, the diameter was 19.64 millimeters. So for the radius, you have to divide it by 2. That's 9.82 millimeters. So 9.82 millimeters, you would have to square that and then multiply by pi. So that's approximately 3.14. And that turns out to be about 300 square millimeters. If I stop down the lens to f4, so that's one stop, the diameter has been reduced to 13.97 millimeters, meaning that the radius is now 6.985 millimeters. And if you square that and multiply that by pi, you will arrive at about 150 square millimeters. So wide open, it's 300 square millimeters. At f4, stopping down one stop, you're down to 150 millimeters. So because you have now only half the surface area, you're only letting through half the amount of light. All right, I hope that was a little bit useful. I hope I refreshed your memory, or maybe you even learned something new. If you liked the video, please consider giving it a like and maybe even subscribing to the channel. Thank you very much for watching, and see you the next time. Bye-bye.